Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Real Sports Updates here. Back again with another video. You see the title, you see the thumbnail. Let's get into it. Justin Herbert, MVP betting odds favorite. Now, there was a tweet from Nick Cothrell. Apparently, he is a Chargers beat writer for a website. I believe it's chargersreport.com. And I think he is on a Sports Illustrated podcast or some type of show or something like that. So he is a legitimate journalist. But he did tweet out, and here's a tweet. I'll put it up in the corner right here so you guys can see it. That Justin Herbert is now the odds-on favorite to win MVP, and Brandon Staley is second in line, to win Coach of the Year. Now, I got to be honest with you guys. This comes from, and it is very important that I point this out. This comes from BetOnline underscore AG. Now, this is not a casino. This is not Caesars. This is not MGM. This is not from one of the, reputable sports books in America. Now, this betonline.ag, they do sports betting. They also do some other stuff as well too. I guess some other online gaming stuff. But this does not come from a reputable source, in my opinion. While researching for this video, I did a quick Google search of this betonline underscore .ag. I really didn't see anything about their sports betting, but apparently some of their other online games, there's accusations of their online games being rigged. There's a lot of bad reviews and things like that. So this is not coming from any reputable source. So if you're a Charger fan, don't get too excited at the possible. I mean, this reporting here is not. I'm not going to call it very credible. This betonline.underscore.ag, it is licensed in the Republic of Panama. So, and I don't know, I have no idea what goes on there, but I'm just saying, this is not something that's coming from anywhere here in America. So don't put too much stock into this. Now, can Justin Herbert win the MVP? Yes, obviously he can. Now, I don't know if Caesars or the MGM or in any other casinos in Vegas, the Westgate, the sports book. I don't know if they have released the MVP odds for this coming season, but I would bet that Justin Herbert is probably not going to be number one. He probably won't even be number two. It'll probably be Mahomes. It'll probably be Justin Herbert or flip flop or something like that. But I kind of wanted to just point this out because I know people are talking about this, and this is not coming from a reputable source. But there is a conversation to be had about whether Justin Herbert can win the MVP, and I think it is very, very, very possible for Justin Herbert to win the MVP. And to be honest with you, he has put up MVP numbers for the past 2 seasons, and I expect another MVP worthy year from him this coming season. He's had the best 2 seasons to start off a career ever as a quarterback. So I expect more. Now, when it does come to MVP odds and just winning the MVP and things like that, this is more of a narrative based thing, and this is becoming more and more like the NBA MVP, and I'm not really a fan of it. I really don't like it, but I think there are some things that are going to be in Justin Herbert's favor this season. Now, obviously, to win MVP, your team has to be a participant in the playoffs, right? There's not going to be an MVP that is going to, be the quarterback of a team that is not, competing in the playoffs. Even in a wild card, whatever, you have to be in the playoffs to even be in the consideration for MVP. And that's why, Justin Herbert really didn't get, very many votes. I can't remember how many votes he got last year, but he didn't get as many votes as I thought that he should have because his team didn't make the playoffs, right? I thought what he did was MVP worthy, right? Leading a team with a bottom 5 defense to a 9-8 record. But if you don't make the playoffs, then you're pretty much not even in the discussion whatsoever. So obviously, playoffs. Number one, that's the biggest thing that has to happen in order for Justin Herbert to be a legitimate MVP candidate. Number two, and I think this is a very important thing, and I think it gets passed over a lot, but it's something that I notice a lot with MVPs. It is not just about getting to the playoffs, but it's about how quick you can get there, right? And what I mean by that is how quick does your team clinch a playoff spot? Because the faster a superstar quarterback and the faster his team clinches a playoff spot, the more likely he is to go up in the MVP voting, right? Because if you look at even the previous winners of MVP, right? You look at Aaron Rodgers, right? These past couple of seasons, right? The Green Bay Packers have rolled, right? They have pretty much steamrolled their way in their division. They've steamrolled their way in the NFC, in the conference in general. They have clinched playoff spots, clinched home field advantage, very, very early, right? And so that kind of gives the media more time to build up the narrative, right? Build up the narrative of the team being really, really, really good. The quarterback being really good. The quarterback, putting up a bunch of stats, and there's a whole there's a whole period to build up a narrative of how good a guy is, and that gets him MVP votes. You look back to the Mahomes MVP year too, right? The Chiefs were rolling, right? They clinched the playoff spot very early. They clinched home field very early. That is just narrative. Like it's more time to build a stronger narrative, and it gives people, I think, the MVP voters specifically, it gives them more of a reason to feel better about their vote, right? When it's week 12 or week 13, whatever, and a team has clinched a spot, right? Let's say the Packers have clinched a spot, right? So now, with the extra week now, if the Packers clinch week 12, week 13, whatever, you still have a whole entire month for the media, right? For ESPN, right? You watch it Monday mornings, right? They're talking about them on First Take. They're talking about them on Get Up or whatever. Or you see Skip and Shannon. Everybody's talking about what the Packers have done, right? Everybody's talking about the stats and how they have dominated and how much this quarterback really is the MVP of the league and how he is, pretty much unstoppable from that point on. So you have all of this, this built-in window for people to basically talk up candidates. And I think, it does have an impact on the other voters, right? The other voters who are not on TV, the other voters who don't come on or just don't have a platform on TV, whatever. It does have an impact on them. And that's very, very important. And I think it doesn't get talked about a lot, but it really is. And if you can go back as far as Peyton Manning and stuff too, right? The teams who clinch the playoff spots early, who exert their dominance early, whoever the best player is on the team is going to get MVP talk, and they're going to get talked about for a while, right? So I think that's another thing too. If the Chargers come out and dominate, if they put up a quick, 10 wins, if they're 9-3, right, 10-3 or whatever, Herbert is going to be squarely in the MVP race, right? And he might be one or two, so he might be right there, but he's going to get a lot of votes regardless, right? Regardless if he wins or not, he's going to get a lot of votes if the Chargers come out and do that, and then they're able to clinch the playoff position and then clinch the home field. They are going to, that's going to allow Justin Herbert to get a lot of, the MVP votes. But I think that's something that gets overlooked. I don't know why, but it is a trend, and it's been happening for, I don't know, at least the past 10 years in as far back as I can remember. That's really been happening. So that's another thing. The third thing too is how much of the eye test do the Chargers pass for everybody, right? Now the record that I said, right, 9-3, 10-3, whatever. How much of the eye test of the voters, right? How much do they see, right? How much dominance do they see? Do they see the Chargers squeaking wins out, right? Do they see them, jumping out to big leads and then blowing leads, and just hanging on to win games? It's a lot of that is the perception that people have is the reality, especially when it comes to the MVP voting, right? You kind of have to put some style points on it, basically, is what I'm saying. Like, you have to have wins where you're beating teams by 10 to 14 points. You have to have at least a couple of those on your resume. Um, that's really what I, in my opinion, that's what sets apart the MVP voting. Um, especially this modern era of the MVP voting, right? Like I said, just over the last 10 years or whatever, you have to have those wins there. They have to be signature moments. There have to be some blowouts. There has to be all of this stuff in order for people to feel good about themselves voting for you for MVP. So all of this stuff has to come this year for the Chargers if Justin Herbert is going to win the MVP. And I honestly think that all of that is going to happen, right? You're going to have signature moments, right? He had them last year. Everybody is, people are still reposting the that crazy throw against the Giants, the one to Jalen Guyton that was 60 yards in the air. There's a couple more throws that he had too, are ridiculous. So the signature moments are there. It's just the wins, right? There's gonna have to be some wins, and there's gonna be some guys on the schedule, some teams on the schedule that they're going to have opportunities to maybe blow the doors off of, right? I see, a Jacksonville, right? Possibly Cleveland, Seattle, Atlanta, maybe San Francisco if their quarterback situation isn't right. Tennessee. There's going to be opportunities for the Chargers to win games by, more, the 2 touchdowns or more, So all of those moments kind of have to be there. And, all that has to be there in order for people to feel good about themselves voting for Justin Herbert MVP. Because you have to think about it. This coming season, right? As much as, the Chargers have improved, and as much as I think Justin Herbert is, the best quarterback in the league, this is kind of a built-in MVP season for Patrick Mahomes. And it's going to be interesting to see when the season starts how the media starts framing everything that Patrick Mahomes does, right? Because, he lost Tyreek Hill. We know that was his most, explosive receiver and all that stuff. The Chiefs bring in a bunch of receivers, right? They, a bunch of guys that they signed in free agency, right? This is going to be framed, right? If the Chiefs do have success, if they have similar success in the regular season that they had last year, Mahomes is going to get a lot of MVP votes because people are going to build this narrative up that he's doing it without his best receiver, and he basically got guys off the street that he's doing it with, and so on and so forth. That's what's going to be the narrative there. And like I said, this is becoming a narrative-based award, right? This is becoming based off of narratives and things like that. It's not necessarily going to the most valuable player, but it's going to the most valuable narrative that they can create about a player. And the Mahomes thing is going to be there all season long, especially if they have success. It's good. Mahomes is so great. He can do it with anybody, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of built in for him this season. I don't think Aaron Rodgers will win it 3 years in a row. That's uncommon, especially in the NFL. So I don't think that is the reality this season. I think people will find a way to not vote for him, just because he's won it the previous 2 times. I think Josh Allen is a strong candidate as well too, possibly Matt Stafford, but his interception and turnover thing, if it's still there, he's not going to win the award. So I think it is set up for Justin Herbert to, insert his name in there and become a serious candidate. But again, some of these narratives that come up, and there will be some more narratives that come up in the middle of the season or after games or whatever. These writers, they have the power to really switch people's minds, right? Specifically the voters, specifically the other voters, which it shouldn't be, right? Every voter should watch a game for themselves. They should be able to determine for themselves. But these narratives, these big sports channels, the sports networks, they have power in mind control when it comes to the MVP voting. And we'll see what happens coming up this season. But like I said, I think this is a built-in Mahomes MVP year, just based off of all of the turnover that they've had at the skill positions. Even though their core is still there, right? You still got Travis Kelce, you still got McCole Hardman, they still got the running back Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like, they still got guys there. The offensive line is still the same. Like, they don't, they've brought in some new guys, but I just don't, but me personally, I just don't feel that that's MVP worthy, but the narrative will be out there, especially if he's completing some crazy throws and getting out of the pocket and doing what he does with the highlight stuff. Granted, if he's not struggling like he was last year, if he was struggling like he was last year, it's going to be hard to create that narrative. But if he's not and he doesn't turn the ball over, they can easily create that narrative. They can easily, put all these highlight packages out on social media, have everybody going crazy and stuff, and everybody's mind is going to be towards the narrative that Mahomes is so great that he's doing it with just these nobodies, even though one guy left, he's doing it with all these nobodies, and that's going to be the narrative. Trust me, that will definitely be the narrative. But if Justin Herbert if he has a similar season and the Chargers have success, he will be a strong MVP candidate. But I just wouldn't bet all of my money that he will be the MVP. Like I said, a lot of this is based off a narrative, and it doesn't always go to the most deserving player. So that's an issue I think the NFL has to address at some point. But I see a lot of people retweeting that tweet, commenting on it, whatever. Just don't put too much stock into it. I as a Charger fan, give me a Super Bowl over an MVP player any day of the week, anytime. 25-7, 365, that doesn't matter. I don't care. I want a Lombardi trophy. I don't care about the MVP. So, and I'm sure Herbert feels the same way. But I just kind of wanted to make this video because I don't want people to get their hopes up and feel like, oh man, this is he's the betting favorite. No, this is from some little shady gambling online place that's licensed in the Republic of Panama. So please don't put too much stock into this. Herbert will have his time. He will have his time. I think he will win an MVP. Whether it's this year or not, whatever, it doesn't matter. But this is the Chargers' year. This is the best shot that they have at winning a Super Bowl right now with this current roster going into this season. So I think they're going to maximize that, and the MVP stuff will take care of itself. And if he wins it, cool. I'll be happy for him, but I don't think that is his main focus right now. That's not the Chargers' main focus. And just don't put too much stock into stuff like this unless it comes from Caesars, unless it comes from DraftKings, one of these reputable betting either websites or casinos or something like that. Unless it comes from there, don't put too much stock in this because at the end of the day it's nothing. So, but that's all I got for this video, guys. If you like this content, please consider subscribing to the channel. Please don't forget please don't forget to give me a thumbs up on the way out. Thank you guys for all the support, and I will see you later. Thank you.